Wait, what? So this happened. I'm Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast Hell is Not the End, although it feels like just the beginning sometimes. Is anything really the end, though? This podcast is meant to explore the limitless possibilities of one's own soul. Why do people do bad things? Why are there countless happenings beyond understanding? Why, when we are cautioned not to do something, do we just do it anyway? The definition of curiosity, a strong desire to know or learn something. There you have it. I will curiously explore why. Hell is not the end. Coney Island was the largest amusement park in the United States from about 1880 to World War II, attracting several million visitors per year. Coney Island consists of 3 amusement parks, Luna Park, Dreamland, and Steeplechase Park, at consecutive times and not concurrent, also including many independent amusements. The Cyclone site was previously occupied by the Giant Racer from 1911 to 1926, one of the largest roller coasters built in 1911 and torn down in 1926 to make room for the Cyclone.
The Cyclone is a wooden roller coaster at Luna Park in Coney Island, Brooklyn, New York City, designed by Vernon Keenan, an American roller coaster designer. Open to the public on June 26, 1927, the Cyclone is on a plot of land at the intersection of Surf City and West 10th Street. The Cyclone can reach a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour and has a total track length of 2,640 feet and a height of 85 feet. The cost to ride was 25 cents.
The Cyclone operated for just over 4 decades before it started showing its age. In the 1970s, the city decided to get rid of the roller coaster. On June 18, 1975, Dewey and Jerome Albert, owners of the adjacent Astroland amusement park, enter an agreement with New York City to operate the ride. Just after an off-season refurbishment, the owners of Astroland invest millions of dollars to keep the Cyclone operating. Even after the adjacent Astroland amusement park closes in 2008, the current president continues to operate the Cyclone under the agreement with New York City. In 2011, Luna Park takes over the operation of the Cyclone. Rewind. In the 1960s, Coney Island suffered a decline in attendance. Increased crime, insufficient parking, bad weather, post-World War auto boom were all contributing factors to the decline. Coney Island Steeplechase Park closes in 1964 and demolished. The Cyclone was sold to the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation in 1965. In 1967, the Cyclone site was thought to be better used for an extension of the New York Aquarium, as the city pursued a claim of eminent domain. Since the claim would be unsuccessful, minimal long-term maintenance would continue to keep the Cyclone operating safely. In 1969, New York City finally wins the bid to own the Cyclone. The Cyclone, now contracted by East Coaster contractors, while still looking into the extension of the New York Aquarium, New York City is cited for multiple safety violations. In 1972, while still trying to expand the New York Aquarium, a campaign is launched to not only oppose the New York Aquarium extension, but instead stop the demolition of Coney Island's favorite and last wooden roller coaster. Enter the rift between New York Aquarium, who was all for the Cyclone demolition, and the Coney Island Chamber of Commerce, who launched the opposition of demolition. Astroworld, the owners of a theme park in Houston, Texas, tried to buy the Cyclone and was planning on moving it to Houston. From history, we know this was a rejected idea. For Astroworld, the venture became too expensive. However, Astroworld would instead construct a replica, the Texas Cyclone, in 1976. In 1974, 6 years after the city purchases the Cyclone, considers leasing the roller coaster to a private operator. Then, all of a sudden, the looming demolition of the Cyclone becomes a real disastrous economical consequence to Coney Island itself. From that point, the plans to demolish or dismantle the Cyclone is gone, and real talks of leasing the roller coaster are considered. The owners of Astroland Amusement Park gets the lease of the Cyclone. They are the ones that are responsible for the refurbishment and preservation. In 2009, the one and only operating season of Dreamland set the tone for Luna Park to take over in 2011 in the safe operation and continuing preservation of the Cyclone, which would again bring a fresh refurbishment to the Cyclone, completed in 2016. Cash for rides currently turned into credits. Convert a cost of 10 credits to the ride of the Cyclone today. $10 in real-time money to date. There are 3 deaths on record to date involving the Cyclone, one of the world's largest wooden roller coasters. On May 26, 1985, a 29-year-old man was killed as he stood up on the roller coaster and hit his head on a crossbeam. On August 23, 1988, a 26-year-old would die from falling out the Cyclone. The man was a maintenance worker and a lone rider, in one of the back seats on his lunch break. He decided it was a good idea to stand up as the coaster was descending the first hill, avoiding the safety bar. He fell about 30 feet and landed on a lower crossbar below. He dies instantly. The Cyclone is closed for inspection, but is open the next day after it was determined no malfunctions were the cause of the incident. On July 31, 2007, a 53-year-old man suffered several crushed vertebrae in his neck and spinal column while riding the Cyclone. He dies 4 days later from complications from surgery. On June 12, 2008, a 52-year-old woman named Paula Noon, riding the Cyclone and later saying that she was injured during the ride, is awarded a settlement of $1.5 million in 2015. In spite of the woman being found 60% at fault. She had suffered a neck injury 5 years before, and a sign was posted to not ride the Cyclone if you have a neck injury. Ah, the signs. She suffered 2 herniated discs and a concussion when her head and neck were violently propelled back and forth while riding the Cyclone. She also suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. In March 2018, a man waiting in line to ride the Cyclone said he was hit by a metal bolt. The Cyclone has been evacuated several times due to mechanical issues. On March 28, 2015, a mechanical failure will cause a train to get stuck at the top of the lift hill. No one is injured. On June 13, 2015, a mechanical issue will cause the train to stop completely. On July 28, 2018, the Cyclone stalls after losing power. My family and I have only been to New York once in our lives. It was nearly Christmas in 2019 before we knew of the dreaded pandemic, COVID-19. We only got to spend about 3.5 days exploring as it was a last-minute trip and it got a bit expensive. But I can say it made an impact on the 3 of us. From attending a New York Rangers game at Madison Square Garden, shout out to Mike Richter, Wayne Gretzky has always been my fave, but mostly when he was on the Los Angeles Kings. From getting to see a performance of the Book of Mormon at the Eugene O'Neill Theater and getting to eat at the best Italian restaurant in existence, Da Marino, New York City, on 49th Street, visiting the most awesome 9/11 memorial for hours and that not being long enough, National Museum of the American Indian, from getting to ice skate at the rink at Rockefeller Center on Christmas morning, eating at the Hard Rock Cafe, New York, in Times Square. We also got to stay at the Blakely, New York, an exquisitely charming hotel. Shout out to the Black Tap restaurant at the Blakely. I just wish we could have had time for Coney Island, and as amusement parks are, kind of a thing. On July 12, 1988, the Cyclone is designated a New York City landmark. And on June 26, 1991, the Cyclone was placed on the National Register of Historic Places. My hope is that no one has to live in fear ever. As always, I will never give up and read the signs. Special thanks to all the reading materials I could get my hands on, internet mostly. Thanks to wikipedia.org. Thanks so much for listening. I am Rachel Velis, and this is the podcast, Hell is Not the End.